Hello, my name is Todd Summers. I'm the Director of Research and Development for SoftWrites. This is the introductory video for AutoPath, the new feature released in the 7.3 release in November of 2019. This gives you the ability to sequentially run sets of paths, either from pulling values from your database, fixed facility database, or from fixed facility files, or from a network file, or else just adding manually to create a network. This can be used for network simulation, for the evaluation of SCADA systems, for a wide variety of topics, including looking for best server amongst sets of base stations serving large numbers of remotes. So first off, we will click on the Open button, select our demo project, Open. You'll notice that for folks that are newly installing 7.3 from scratch, that there's now an AutoPath Studies folder included within a demo project. So looking at this, there is a simple relay as well as a multi-site example that are both included. And I'll show you how we built these from scratch. So when we first load up the simple relay, you'll see down here under Network a grid of paths. Each row in this grid is a path that we've defined. Up here in the map graphic, you see an overlay of the paths. As you select a path here, it shows up as selected up above. To change how these are styled, you can go under Preferences. Under AutoPath Style, you can set the colors here for whenever you colors, sizes, so on. And then for a new path that you add, you can set default values as well under this section, New Path Defaults. If you ever have a question about AutoPath, we have our context-sensitive help. Click on the F1 button, loads up for AutoPath Studies, and you'll see in here a full set of information on AutoPath Studies, AutoPath Network, including network parameters. So that grid down there, these are the parameters down at the bottom, path description, transmit description, so on, all the way down. So there's a ton of information here within the embedded help. Above, you have the ability to zoom out, zoom in. You can click and drag to pan. You can zoom to a particular path. You can zoom to the network, zoom out again. You can select base map layers just like you do with coverage studies and coverage study results. If you wish to select a path, click here, click the path. You can also, if you wish, click on a site, if I can hit one. Click on a site, it'll have the attached paths to that one. You can drag box to zoom if you'd like. And you also have the ability to add a path. You can manually add a path as well. And that'll show up as an additional one down here. Added TX to added RX. So as I said, you have a transmit description, frequency, ERP units, latitude, longitude. So you can manually add one by hitting the plus button. Just adds an additional one here down at the bottom. You can go through manually set these values, or you can import from a file, import from a set of TX and RX files, or you can obviously manually create it. So there's a lot of different options, and I'll go through those. So for your transmitter manual elevation flag here, if you want to have TAP automatically look up your manual elevation based off your typical portfolio, you leave this blank. But if you want to use this set value, like say for instance, one I know it's 6670 as 6670 feet for this particular case, you want to leave it. You don't want to just use that value. Instead of having TAP look it up, you can select that TX manual elevation. Likewise, you can do the same thing with RX here. You have your description, manual elevation, RX elevation, so on. RX sensitivities down here, gains and losses on the receive side, effective curvature to use for the study. And then at the very end, you have options for profile report, profile image, and detailed report. So for one of these, if you want to have profile report, profile image, detailed report created, you select the checkbox here. And it'll generate a profile image report for that study for which you've got those selected. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the last two values that I added. If you want to clear all of your network values, click here to clear network. Once you have it set up the way you'd like, you can click the Run Study. So before we do that, let's go through the topo data. Same setup as for a path study. You're going to select the portfolio name for this run, topo step, interpolator, effective curvature down here. You set Fresnel zone, same as you do for a path study, 1, 0.5, so 0.5 F1 is your Fresnel zone. That's going to be shown in your path profile. Propagation model, you have the same set of prop models to choose from as you do for a path study. You can use land cover, same as you do for a path study. Also surface features. And then for a report template, you can click here to select a report template to use, template file to use. I'll select the landscape template. This is for your profile report that comes out of this. So if you want to create profile reports for all your sites, you can use this one. For the type, it's just how it's saved. PDF is the default. You can do a Word document, HTML, RTF, PDF is the default. So on the left side, as you go through, you'll see that as you select these, you have your transmitter information, receiver information, and then your path information as well on the right side under path information. You can switch over to path profile view for any one of these and go back and forth and move through these quickly. So it gives you a nice set of access and visualization for this particular setup. And you can go back and forth between map view and path profile. You can maximize the graphic, restore. If you have a point that's beyond the limits of the path study, in other words, more points than the path study would show by default, you click on the draw profile to manually draw a particular path. Once it's all set up, click Run Current Study. It'll load up the Tab 7 study server if that isn't already loaded, and then it'll sequence through those paths and create the outputs that you've selected. You'll notice here this is Network as the tab here for the network setup. Once it's done, it'll show up as it'll switch over to Results. Let me hit it again. All right, now it's running. I had to initially open it. So here, now this is results. It has all the information you used to run the study, and then on the very far end, it has values for shadow ratio. Shadow ratio less than 0 for your path means that it's blocked. Greater than 0 is clear, and between 0 and 0.5 we say is grazing, clear but grazing. You have your free space loss, free space field, prop model loss, total path loss, receive signal level, dBm, and then your receive margin. Under path information, you still have the transmitter, receiver, path information here, but now you have path results additionally. Includes shadow ratio, signal level, margin, path loss, total loss. In the map graphic, you'll notice that it is now colored. So if we go to results style, depending on what you want to view, you can switch between line of sight, RX margin, or RX power for the styling of the result value. For each one now I've got RX power, it goes according to this template. So similar to the setting of styles and class breaks within Mapper, you can add additional ones or clear what you have there. If you're happy with what you have, you can click the Save button to save a template, or else you can load one from one that you've saved, maybe share it with somebody else. If you want to change the value, make this say a different color, you can click here, and same here, you can go through and change the colors, you can change the values, you can change the labels. So for this particular case, just depending on where you're looking, you can see from the visualization what kind of link you have. This is the simple case where you have strong link here, good link here, and then good link here, but a poor link here. So this is a simple relay where you're relaying around this poor link here. Show your RX margin here. You have red being no margin, yellow being small margin, and then green being ample margin. So you have good margin here, good margin here, good margin here. But for the direct link here between these 2 points, it will be poor, so you have to go around. Line of sight also. Red's blocked, yellow grazing, green is clear. And you can change these values to be whatever you want them to be. So that's the setup and run of a simple one. Let's create new path studies. Or actually here, let's go through these again. The CSV, If you want to open the CSV, it has the raw values in here. It has an additional column to tell you whether the path is blocked or cleared grazing. And then it has all your free space loss, free space field, prop model, total path loss, signal level, RX margin. And then you can do sorting or wherever you want to do it in this file if you want to. Manipulation you want. It's useful if you're doing a large set of base stations to a large number of modes. You can do the sorting to search for best server there. Within the results template, you also have the ability, you'll notice here, drag a column header and drop it here to group by that column. So if I want to organize it by my TXs, my transmitters, I can take that, drag it up top, and now it groups by those. So I got demo Castle Rock, demo Cheyenne Mountain. So I can group by the individual sets. X here to remove that grouping, and you can do multiple sets of groups as well. Now I select the details for one of these. It'll load this up and I can look at the details. This gives me all the information about the study that was run for that one study where I had the details selected as an option, and it has the detailed information for the propagation model. Since it was Longley Rice, you get the parameters set up, you get the delta H, effective TX and RX antenna heights, and then obviously the link budget. So each one of these is going to open up a file window, and you can then use that. So for this one here, this is the image option. This is the PNG that's created for that path profile. Close that. Go to reports. This is the report we selected. You'll remember we did the landscape template, and now it shows with the landscape template the path profile report here. So if you want to do a sequence through a bunch of studies and have a path profile report generated for each one, that's the way you do it. Creates those. We'll skip ahead to the summary file. This gives me the summary of each of the individual studies that were run. Give me any warnings or anything like that for, say, missing data or path is too long, for instance. So they'll give you all the information here for all the studies. And then the shapefile, when you double click on that, it'll load it up in Mapper. The shapefile is created on the run. It basically is a line shapefile for all the individual paths. If I go to information, you can see what the attributes are for this particular shapefile. We'll select Power DBM. The view, click OK, and then as you move over here, it'll show these are all the attributes. So you have latitudes, longitudes, margins, power, all that for all the individual paths. You can step through and view. You can change the styling to change the size of these lines if you'd like. So it gives you the ability to have a visualization here, or else if you want to, you can just work with the raw CSV instead, up to the user entirely. So like a coverage study, after it's run, it shows up as locked. And when it's locked, you have to delete the study results to be able to modify it. So delete study results, and then you can go in and modify and then run a current study. So let's create a new one from scratch. Add folder, or no, we'll add AutoPath study. We'll do AutoPath study from DB first. So this comes in blank to start. If I go under Network, Import, Export, you'll notice there's multiple options here. Effectively, what we're going to do is create a network file. You can either do this from a database or from a file. If you don't want to create a network file, if you want to import one that you've already created, you click here, import a full network file that has all of these columns here, all these headings. Once you've created a study, created a network, and you want to export that to, say, share for somebody else or to save for use later on, you click the Export Network to File. If you click Create Network File, it will create a template that you can then fill in with all of the columns associated with these different fields. So we'll cancel out of that. I'm not going to create one now, but we will proceed with, first off, import from fixed facility DB. So if all the fixed facilities you want to use in your AutoPath study are already in your fixed facility database, click here and all the entries in your fixed facility database will be loaded on both sides, left and right. So if I want to do Cheyenne Mountain, for instance, click Cheyenne Mountain, click this button to select the one that I have selected, or I can double click on it. If I don't want one, I click here, go like this. Castle Rock, you can double click on it to add it over here. If I want to add all, I click this button. If I want to return all, click this button. Same over here. Add all, return all here. So we'll do Cheyenne Mountain to Castle Rock. For all the studies, all the combinations that I create in here, I will apply the following path setup, the following flags to generate path profile report, profile image, detailed output, and I can also set my effective curvature for each study if I want to do that as well. This shows the number of facilities selected on the transmit side, receive side, all the combinations, all the unique paths. Once I have it set up the way I want, I click on Add Paths to Network, and it's added. So that's one way of adding. Now if I want to clear network, I click here to clear all, get prompted. Go ahead. Actually, yeah, I'll go ahead and create it again. Cheyenne Mountain, Castle Rock, pass to network, and then we'll create another one from scratch. Add AutoPath study. Do this one from file. Finish. So for this example, we go under Import, Network Import Export, click Import from Fixed Facility File, and click TX Import. So TX Import, I'm going to select the CSV with the same set of fields as you would have with a fixed facility database file. So you can export something out of your fixed facility database and use a file with the same set of parameters. You can also use these two right here, example AutoPath base stations, example AutoPath remotes, one of these as a template to use for your own. So if I collect, in this case, example AutoPath base stations, click Open. Now I've got 5 sites across Douglas County in Colorado. Click the RX import, I select the remote, so I have a set of 2,000 plus remotes. If I select all here, then you'll notice I have 5 transmit facilities selected, 2,174 receive facilities, so now I've got 10,870 combination, 10,870 unique paths. I can click Add Paths to Network and it'll automatically load. Now, as I said, these are basically for the transmitted side ones, it's all the transmit parameters from a fixed facility database file. And for the receive side, it's all the receive parameters for a receive fixed facility file. Receive parameters from a fixed facility file. Sorry. So click now. I'm just going to do a couple of these. Northeast, northwest. I'll return all these. And I'll just select the ones that have a 10 in them using the filter here. Select all those. So now I've got 2 transmit facilities selected, 151 receive facilities selected, so 302 combinations. We'll click Add Paths to Network. Now, you'll note that this is not going to be instantaneous because the fixed facilities that I have in this case have antennas that I'm using, actual antenna patterns selected. So for each one, it's going to determine the strength of that antenna pattern in the direction of each receive point. So it's going to have to work through each of those. So it's going to take a minute to load. While it does that, I'm going to pause. And after the study is completed, shown here on the screen, you'll see we have interconnection. We have a site here and a site here. And this shows all the interconnections on the screen. If I want to select, I click on one. Or the other. Show all the interconnections. Go back to path. Now, once we're happy with this, can click on Run Current Study. And I'll sequence through and run the study for all 300 paths, and it'll show up color coordinated similar to the previous one. So now if I want to switch to, say, RX margin, that's what we're looking at, and then RX power, I'll show what the signal strength is for each combination, for each path. And of course, you have the CSV file, which you can then sort and use however you'd like. So the next example, we'll do it from a network file. Give it the name from network file. So here. In this case, we'll assume that we have a network file that we've created either from scratch or somebody else has created and exported, and they're sending it to us. So I click Import Network from File, click Import Network, Simple Relay, click Open, and it's the same one that we used previously. So imported 4 path models. And we'll run it, same as we've done previously, and this will flip over from network to results, and then over this side we'll have the path results for each one of these, which we can then sequence through. And that is what I have for AutoPath. Hope you enjoyed it. It's been a long labor to get it out and released. And if you have any questions, please contact support@softright.com. Any sales questions, contact sales@softright.com. And we hope you enjoy it. Happy tapping, and have a good one. Bye.